wants to eat it.
I have tried to be your friend, but you will not listen to me. So you invited this monster. Don't make me kill somebody.
I'll make it rain all day long. I'll make it rain all day long.
Good morning, come on in. Coffee's good, fresh and hot. There's a waffle in the baker on the grill. We're making bacon. You're always welcome back.
Charge!
There's a fire beneath my skin. There's a fever that makes me ill. Gotta love, a love that kills. I got 24 hours to live. Come back. I'm down on my knees. Come back. I'm begging you, please.
Hello, hey, what's up, guys? Hopefully you can hear me. I don't know if my mic is on, but you never can tell. Let's see who we've got in the chat here, and it's good to see you guys all. We've got Bullet Ninja Hagelman. Good to see you, my friend. We've got Leg Kick 1. It's great to see you guys. Let me make sure I get you guys up on the screen here. Hello, Leg Kick 1. Hello, Jeremy, my brother from another mother. And there is no other person who is more enthusiastic about the Crack Pack, in my personal opinion, and has a hell of a show. Lord Crackhead 33, it's good to see you. We have got Julie Pascal here. Good to see you, and hail to you. And we have got Jordan Horst. It's good to see you as well. Hails and hellos, indeed. We have got Micra here. It is good to see you in the chat. We have got, who's this guy? I don't know who this guy is. We've got All This on the Farm just off Orwell Lane. It is great to see you. We have got the great Lloyd Burton here. Hello, Lloyd. And let's see who else we've got. We've got, is it Gigavox? I don't ever know how to pronounce it, no matter how many times you've explained it, which is kind of sad that I can't figure that out yet. We have got Stephen Rockwood drawing. It's good to see you, my artist brother. And let's see what else. We got Oz, the Great Sage, in here. We have got SDA in here. It's good to see both of you guys. And let's see what we've got. Is there anybody else I've met? We've got Power Up J-Bot. It is good to see you, my friend. We have got McShort here. Yo. And we have got Jeremy Burtz here. It's good to see you, Jeremy Burtz. And let's see what else we've got. What is up, guys? What is up? Is something up with your camera? Last few times I've been here, the audio hasn't been synced. I think that's with OBS. I've got something going on. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. And we've got Michael Bancroft in the chat. Hail, brother. It's good to see you, my friend. I hope everything is going well. And let's see here. STA, bitter beer face. It happens. Let's see. Everybody's saying their hellos. It's good to see you guys. Yeah, we've got some good bogans in the chat here. So let's get started with what we're going to do today. So a couple of interesting things. So I've like a lot of us in the New England area or in the Northeast, I think a lot of us just kind of crashed. We've had a lot of crazy weather. I know a lot of us have been, streaming like demons, although, that doesn't make us unique per se. And for myself, I had a really great couple of days sort of recovering, getting things more organized. And most importantly, I got something that makes my work possible, which is I got a new batch of brushes. And I need brushes that have good points. It actually makes my work go a lot faster. And I've been really struggling with the brushes that I have. And whenever we have bad weather, and you guys know what shipping is like and supply chains are like, it makes everything more difficult. So let's see if we can get this into a better spot there. There we go. That changes things a bit. Oh, hey, John. Good to see you, my friend. Yes, the Waffle Lodge is open, and we have saved you a seat, my friend. And it makes everything that I do so much more difficult when I've got brushes that are splitting or that are not as solid. And so, as you guys can see, when we're doing things here, like the detail on this hair, I need a brush that can really paint almost hair thin and then go all the way to a nice thick line. And so it just speeds up the entire process. And it's kind of frustrating when you're waiting around for your materials to get there so that you can do your work. And but I mean, I've been watching some great streams, but before I came in here, I was watching a stream. Ethan was on a show that premiered, I guess it was at 8 o'clock Eastern time today, with a YouTuber named Clifton, who is an interesting guy. He comes out of acting, and it was an interesting video to watch because Ethan was sort of reiterating a lot of the things that we're about here in CG, and it was really inspiring to watch. And I've been thinking a lot about that in the last week. For those of you guys who don't know, and I think most of you guys do know, is that let's see. Gosh, this past week, I think we hit 20K, which was massive. And thank you guys so much for backing this project. Yeah, absolutely. Brush soap and beeswax, my friend. Yeah, absolutely. I have been using those things. I think it's just I have this terrible habit of using my brush every now and again to scrub. I usually keep separate brushes, but I'll try to get certain textures. And it's just a terrible, terrible habit that I have. So yeah, I definitely need to watch that stuff. Yeah, thank you so much. It was, for those of you guys who were watching the stream, I was legitimately shocked. I didn't even know really what to make of it. I still don't know what to make of it because it was such a big jump for the campaign for it to have hit that milestone. And so I remember I just kind of had to take a knee, as they say. I'm a huge boxing fan. And then I was just thinking to myself, well, I know this may sound silly, but I try to be very, very careful with the money for this business. And I was sort of putting off like investing in art supplies. And I finally said to myself, like, okay, listen, you've hit this milestone. Go order some dang brushes. And it may sound kind of silly, but I have a tendency to try to be very careful with the money because, as you know, in Comicsgate, we're not anti-capitalist and we're running, a business here. And so whatever money doesn't go into the production of the books is going to be, money for me and my family and money for the business. And wherever we go from here, it's what makes the business possible. And so I'm one of those people that will always try to make sure that I'm, walk that fine line when it comes to my painting materials with making sure I'm getting the most I can out of every brush, but also never sacrificing quality. And so I sort of got to a point where I was like, all right, now it's time. Now it's time to get that stuff together. And you guys can see, let me just zoom in on this real quick. If you guys look at those brush lines right there. Oh yeah, especially right now. Absolutely. Well, John, I'm telling you what, I don't even know how to describe it, but we're very I'm naturally have always had that quality, and it's I want everything to show up on the paper. So like when you see, if I get that in focus so you guys can see that okay, you can see where the hair on this werewolf is really kind of coming together. Hey, what's up, Phil? How you doing, brother? And this is the thing. If you guys want to know what happened story-wise, if you remember this panel, the werewolf was down here and smaller. So one of the decisions I had to make was to completely paint out this werewolf here because the story and the character of the werewolf changed. And those are the kinds of things that I was having to put off because I go, I need a better brush for me to do that, is, to recreate that. And so, yeah, it's coming together, guys, and it's looking beautiful. And yeah, it is one of those things to where when it comes to backers, that if I'm going to spend, it's going to be on backers and it's going to be on saving money for future endeavors. So I'm looking into all this stuff. We've got some great people in CG, obviously, who talk about finances and talk about, setting up, your business and all of those kinds of things. But yeah, I try to make sure that Phil Sakaram Diaz is on the scene. Absolutely right. And it's good to see you, Phil. And, for me, these little lines, and I want to make sure I'm going to get that zoomed in here. Hang on a second. There we go. I really want you guys to get an up close and personal look at this as I work, because that's the joy of what we're doing. But when I'm doing this stuff, there's a certain amount of it that's muscle memory, but you start to do things like, you see that line right there? Is a lot of it is muscle memory. And if you have a tool that is able to be responsive when you're working, because it's got a good point and you kind of know what it's going to do, it makes it so much easier, and you get something that's so much more elegant. And when you guys get this book, I want it to be something that you keep, just like all the sketches. You know what I mean? It's so important. Yeah, it does. So Stephen Rockwood, yes, that's exactly what I thought when I did. I go, that can be worked in as a shadow. You're absolutely right. And it's so important to do. Yeah, it looks like a shadow. You guys are absolutely right. Yeah. That is 100% what I was thinking as I did it. I thought, okay, that'll work as a shadow. The next time you need brushes, tell us which one you want, where to send them. I got what you mean. Yeah. I was actually laughing because, all these people who, hey, and by the way, hello, son of Liberty Radio. It's good to see you, my friend. And let's see, Devil Flyer, Rex Christian Momentum. It is good to see you, my friend. Hail to you. And I will tell you guys this. I was laughing about and thank you all this. I appreciate that. I was joking about this because some people have tiers. Buy me a beer and or buy me this, and I was laughing and I go, yeah, to me it makes more sense to have a tier. I mean, for me, I meant, like, I don't drink, so that's probably why maybe I should start. But it makes me think there should be a buy me a brush tier, but it's it's all good. We're doing okay, and we're getting there. It's just it's what happens when the book has a good week and the backers really come in and the book is successful. And I feel like I've had a productive, week of promoting the campaign and getting more backers. The thing that I do think it does is it gives you the ability to relax a little bit. And yeah, tears. Sorry, that's just killed me. Listen, guys, you can't kill me this soon in the stream, man. It's too funny. But this is the thing. Excuse me. The thing about it is when I'm working, there's this certain amount of pressure, right? That we all feel. Everybody working on these campaigns, and I kind of allowed myself to relax for a second and get caught up on things like editing more videos for my channel or cleaning up videos for my channel. This week, I'm going to be doing a new trailer for Nosfero because it needs one. I don't like where the book is now is not represented in the old trailers. And today, part of the day was making an intro for Kelsey. I don't know if he's going to be on Comicsgate Kings on Monday, or even if they're, you never know if they're doing it. But I wanted to make sure that Ethan had an intro for Kelsey, so I worked on that and finished that off. And it's a funny kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's a really funny thing to you sit around and you kind of say, yeah, exactly, never too late to start drinking. You know what the problem is? I started that stuff way too early. And so I've kind of gotten to the point to where it's like, I would rather. It's so funny that you bring this up. Let me see here. Tears of a Clown. Yeah, that's right. That's what I should call it, though. I should have a tear of a clown. That would be hilarious. It'd be a great play on words. What's up, Tommy? Good morning, my friend. Just tell us now, is there an alligator in Kelsey's intro? No, there is not, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's all the intros are weird. All the intros are weird for their own reasons. So we'll see how it goes. And yeah, so I was thinking about my freshman year of college, and I remember listening to the lead songwriter in a band I like, who talked about, they said, how come you guys have avoided, hey, what's up, Hicksville, and it's good to see you. They said, how come you guys have avoided, getting into too bad of a situation with drugs and with, all of this stuff? Not that they weren't doing that stuff, but why hadn't they gotten to a bad spot with it? And they said, well, most people get famous and then go off the rails. And he said, we were off the rails before temptation came our way. Like, we just came into the scene completely hammered and out of it. So, there was no way we were going to go off the rails because we were already off the rails. And for me, I remember going off to college and coming from a town where not a lot happened. And we were, to say mildly, we were a bit off the rails. And then I started meeting all of these like really nice kids who, like, were not were not having some of the kind of insanity that I was having. And I could finally talk to people about comics for the first time. And that was such a great experience. And I think sometimes I did things a little bit backwards, kind of like a Benjamin Button sort of thing, where now I really enjoy spending my time talking with you guys on YouTube. And how do I word it? I wouldn't say I'm teetotal, but it's so strange. I'm not like a prude about it or anything like that. Like I hang out with a lot of people, who drink and have a good time that way. It's nothing that I have a particular issue with ever, but I'm just at this point to where I feel like in my youth, I was so completely out of it that I always think with whatever time I have left, I want to make sure that I'm present and really enjoying you guys and making the best art I can make for you guys. Because, you never know. And I remember when Ethan was talking about the whole, when he's looking at Cyberfrog and he was looking at some of his DC work and he goes, this is it. This is my legacy. I want to make the best work that I can possibly make. It's just become very important for me lately, especially the more you guys support this book. And hey, what's up? How to Draw Comics by Dan Lawless. It's good to see you, my friend. I like Billy's intro. I'm an oldies kind of guy. Well, you then for I don't know, a shiny new quarter. Do you recognize the person who is singing in Billy's intro? Out of curiosity, I don't think it's wildly obscure, but it's a little obscure. Let me know if you recognize him, because it's a singer that I actually really enjoyed listening to for a bit when I was in school. So I'm curious if you know. It's one of those things. But yeah, I mean, I really did. You're absolutely right. It was absolutely bass backwards. And yeah, exactly. That's totally what it is. It's when people ask me about stuff like that, it's not that there's things that I'm against, like in a certain, I mean, there's stuff I'm definitely against, in terms of, pretty much everything that Comicsgate is against falls under that category. I'm against, all of this crazy Marxist bullshit. But when I'm looking at art and I'm looking at this kind of stuff, I'm just really for this stuff right now. And I always said when I was younger, I kind of, had the attitude I wanted to make sure that, I had a fun time and I experienced life as much as I possibly could. And to be honest, it wasn't like I had, there wasn't a lot going on. But so by the time I got to the point that I'm at now with Comicsgate, I've got you guys' support. I'm like, I got to do it here. Let's see here. Let's see if does Dan Lawless have it. Like Billy's intro, I'm an oldies fan. No, it was not me singing. Thank goodness, John. You don't have to. You don't have to worry about that. I don't know if it would be worth it, but I'll give you guys about a few more seconds to see if Dan can come up with it. He knows the song. I know he knows the song, but the singer is a little tricky, just a little tricky. So we'll see. I know that Billy knew instantly what the song was, of course, because it's one of the most famous crooner songs in the world. But everybody knows it. There we go. Take a look at the fun, that comes from doing the brush work like this. I really have a great time with it. John says, "Was it you singing?" No, it wasn't. So here you go, guys. The singer was a singer by the name of Bobby Rydell. So Bobby Rydell was a kind of a teen sensation, interestingly enough. Oh, yes, please, guys, remember to hit like. Thank you so much, Julie, for mentioning that. And Bobby Rydell was on Disneyland After Dark with host Walt Disney back in the day. And him and Annette Funicello and Bobby Burgess and a bunch of those guys from the old Mickey Mouse Club from back in the day were there. Louis Armstrong appeared on that show. It's really, really great. And I love kind of classic vintage Disney films where Walt was walking around and showing the park. And Disney After Dark, which you can probably find it on YouTube, funny enough, was just them showing off how beautiful the park was at night. And then you get Louis Armstrong singing, and there's nothing wrong with that, and playing for that matter. And I just loved that. He goes, those days were fun. And he goes, God, what was his name? Ken Orey was there, and he said, what did he say? He goes, we didn't make a lot of money, but boy, did we, he goes, but boy, did we have fun. And he goes, yeah, but the rent was cheap. And I always loved that. I always thought that was such a great, way of putting things. And I think having fun and having a good time when you're doing your work is important. And I always think, but when I'm doing my work, it's like the labor's cheap. That's the biggest thing. Oh, like Leif Garrett. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's it's such a funny thing to see, to see what we are capable of doing. And, I was very excited watching that stream and talked about this stuff. And I always say to myself, when Francis Ford Coppola was, it might have been actually. That's really, I never even thought about that. It might very well have been. The thing for me is that I remember when Francis Ford Coppola was starting American Zoetrope, and he was talking to them about the independent movement in San Francisco. And he said, look at this. He goes, I have a camera. He goes, I have a camera. We have cameras here, and we have an editing bay. And then all I need after that is film, and I have that too. We can make movies. And just that kind of infectious enthusiasm. All I need is brushes. I need paper. I need an idea. And then I need the financial support of my backers. And we can do this. Comicsgate can happen. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's totally Volare. Yeah. It's Bobby. Billy started seeing that when it first came on. He knew it instantly, and I know you do too. But it's great. Yeah, Billy's great. Every single time I'm working on those, it's done between working on Nosfero and it's done between working on stuff for my channel. But I always enjoy it because it's fun. It's fun to support other Comicsgate creators, and they've been very supportive of me because I just think that the more we can make this space fun, and it's hard sometimes because I think that it's easy to get lost in, the very real sort of frustration that a lot of us feel some days. But I always remind myself when I sit down at the desk that ultimately all of it is to be able to do this right here, is to be able to make art. And I love making art, and I love sharing art with people. it's just the best feeling in the world. I imagine it's the same thing for all of you guys who do athletes and do athletic stuff and not do athlete. It depends. I mean, whatever fickles your fancy. But for all of you guys who do athletics, and for all of you guys who do any kind of trade where you're getting to work on something and the satisfaction of seeing it get finished, there's just this thing about it, what we want to share, or if it's watching movies, or if it's playing video games with people, it's whatever it is, man. That's what it's about. And yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I don't think CG's reached its height yet at all. You're absolutely right. Technology is making the everyman artist possible. It absolutely is. Like, if you have a good idea and skill, you can make it happen. Yeah, it's totally just getting started. You're absolutely right. And I think that, and the key to make sure that that's the case is to keep producing and keep backing work. And if I can do that, if I can keep contribute in any way to being one of the books that comes out during that period when my book is going to be released, and people go to their mailbox, get this book, and go, holy cow, this is cool, I'm so excited to get this, then that might make them more excited to back another book. And that's what this is about. It's about getting people to want to back books and getting people to want to buy and collect Comicsgate stuff. I mean, we've got a little bit of a hill to climb in terms of the fact that there are other, there's the mainstream industry that has all these properties, intellectual properties that everyone knows. So we don't really have any choice but to beat them on creativity and skill, and then also be disciplined enough to get this stuff out there, and to make it happen. And that's what I'm most excited about right now. I'm most excited about, making books and helping to expand the Comicsgate library, and also to expand, the types of books that we offer. When I was working on this character, the werewolf character, which just for the purpose of these streams, I'm going to have to come up with a name for him soon, because I have a couple of options right now, but I'm still working on it. But when I'm working on this character, when he became the character that he is now, which really just necessitated editing this one panel, the aspect of that was it got me more excited to illustrate him and to illustrate his story. And I kind of sat back there and I said, like, wow, I was working on him and I had his head lower and he was a little bit more like almost like a little bit more of an Igor-like character when he first came on the scene. And I said to myself, I can't illustrate one more story where I don't want to be a part of the problem. I don't want to illustrate one more story where I've got a male character who was on the good side, who was this kind of, head bowed, simpering kind of, misfit. Because I feel like we've got too much of it. It's just been done too much. And I thought, I want to have this character be, a mentor figure, to be tougher, to have some ferocity to him, and you guys all know, this image right here. But I need this character to really sing visually and to have a really great, intense look to him. And, when he comes on the scene and he appears and she's standing there, I want her to see him as somewhat formidable and somewhat strong. I don't want him to be just a weak character for the sake of it. Let's see who else we've got going on here. Thank you, Aldous. I do appreciate it so much. One of the biggest obstacles to great comic books was the monthly schedule. Can't do really great comics in a month. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. Don't think that hasn't crossed my mind. Son of Liberty Radio. Like, we can all, like, while I'm working on it, we can all nickname him Malin. I think that works well. Yeah, we'll call him, but then Malin might get confused. You never know. Yeah, oh, absolutely. I do not want this character to ever stop being, no matter what conversation he's having, to be intense. But going back to what Dan Lawless was saying, yeah, I think it is an obstacle to making good work. But I think that it's the idea that everybody is going to make artwork at the same pace, and I think that it's one of those things where it's like, how do I word it? I think that people work at different paces, and that's true in European comics. That's true in manga. One of the things that motivates us to make our work more than anything is capitalism. Which is to say, making money off of this is huge. It's a big incentive. Yeah, introducing Laurel to Dad. You're absolutely right. That is exactly what's going on. And Dad is like, I'm going to fill her in on how we got here. Yeah, we could call him Wolfie, says John. And then Perth Comics says Marin or Marin. Yeah, that'd be funny. The problem is I can only think of Marin County and George Lucas when I say that. And then it's, let's see here. Michael says, I wouldn't say you can't in terms of, I'm guessing, a monthly schedule, but monthlies, shoot, let me get that up there. But the monthly schedule certainly encourages just getting it out. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the best schedule to go for is as quick as you can, because we're incentivized to do this. Look, here's the big thing. Almost everybody I've met in Comicsgate, and Ethan said this today, and I agree with this 100%. I love making comics. There is no reason for somebody to be doing this and putting how much effort it takes to put into a comic book if you don't love it. I find it terrifying to think of somebody doing this who doesn't love it. You know what I mean? It's you have to love it. It's the same thing goes with anything that we do that requires a certain amount of effort. You have to love some aspect of it. And I absolutely love doing this. But at the same time, that's what inspires me to want to make the next issue of this. And that's what inspires me. A huge motivating factor of it is you guys' financial support. So yeah, I want these books to come out. Like, as soon as I finish this book, I'm going to start the next book. I've done that this is my third self-published book in a row. So I just can't resist doing this. It's clearly what I need to do. John Muth took forever to paint Moonshadow. I've got the hardcover of that. They just released over there. It is so great. And yeah, although I would say this, too, dang, John J. Muth is great. I see. I love that stuff. Yeah, it's really great. And yeah, I mean, it's totally just, I think that I know this book will be worth the wait for you guys. And I really am excited to share the story with you. That's the thing I do a lot of times. I'm just like, I'll work out like the dialogue and things like that. And I'm really excited about these characters. I'm just now noticing what the camera is focused on. I'm not just trying to sell more comics. So let's have something for everybody. Let me see here. Perth Comics, mail in Nation accent. That's right. Well, he has one, doesn't he? I like hearing the lamentations of their women. That's right. Let's see here. Hail to you, Comics Talk with Pops Van Sant. It's good to see you, my friend. John, video idea, overview of the source's backstory in Nosfero, like Nosferatu and such. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good idea. I do want to talk about that because there are, or maybe even just schedule a stream. I know that Michael, if he's still in the chat, does deep dives into characters. That could be a fun thing to do with Michael. He did deep diving into various comics and what goes into them and things like that. So that could be really interesting. But I'm absolutely up for that. Let's see here. FYI, I came up with a concept for my book. 'Tis a Tale of Revenge. Yeah, well, that is absolutely. Revenge is such a cool. There's so many different ways you can go about revenge in a story. It's such a rich topic because when people say, "Oh, this is a story about revenge," there's so many facets to it. To me, that opens things up tremendously. And so that sounds really cool. Like, I'd be curious to know like what particular angle that you're, going with, in terms of that. Let's see here. I just just named the wolf John Malin and copyrighted so you can hold it over him. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think John would love that, to be honest. I mean, he strikes me as the type who would be super into that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's important. That's an important part of this because we are honoring the Hammer tradition. Yeah, it's best served cold. Yeah, absolutely. Revenge is a dish. Jeez. I'm feeling it, guys. Is a dish best served cold. I've always liked I talked about Ben-Hur recently as a revenge story. I liked the revenge story of Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Hell, Braveheart had a really great revenge story in it. Yeah, Juan Marin. That would be awesome too. Yeah, I may have to come up with something like that. That would work. Just that would be fun to do. I love stuff like that because that's the first thing I thought of. I laughed. I went, this book isn't working. I need to have, a character in here that's, I need to do something more with this character. And then I just paused for a minute once I came up with it and I was doing the layout for the origin page. And it's like one of those things to where I thought, oh God, the character is going to be raised by a wolf. This is going to be hilarious. Hammer, are you a Christopher Lee fan? I absolutely am. Dying Days of YouTube, my man, Hogan the Bogan. It is great to see you, my friend. I was just about to put that laugh. There you go. Great minds thinking alike. Yeah, Hammer, Raiden Radio, absolutely. I am a Christopher Lee fan. I'm a massive Peter Cushing fan, too. My good friend Michael, whose channel is The Choice Voice, is incredible. His discussions about Hammer horror films, and he's just a terrific dude. And he does Star Trek fan films. He's just a really great guy. Starship Valiant are his Star Trek fan films. And he introduced me to Hammer and Peter Cushing. And Peter Cushing in 2 movies. One is The Brides of Dracula, where he's the greatest Van Helsing incarnation, in my personal opinion. And then the other one is Twins of Evil, which is a movie this Nightgown is from, interestingly enough. And in that movie, he plays a more villainous character, but he brings such heart to it. Michael Bancroft says, I have a character whose whole motivation is based on vanity. Definitely my favorite sin. Yes, I always say that it's great to do character ideas based on the 7 deadly sins. And that what becomes even harder is trying to do characters based on the heavenly virtues. That's always really difficult to do. And so let's see what we've got here. Cheech Baron, that's great. Out loud, there was a band named Tipper Gore in protest against her censorship efforts. Well, I hope they had some pretty rough lyrics in there, because that would only seem fair. Let's see here. Yeah, boot the spam, done and dusted. Self insert, Michael. Oh my lord. Yes, hail the dying days of YouTube. There's much love here in the chat. Yeah, thumbs up. And hail Jeremy Burtz. John, all my characters are self inserts. Yeah, I know. Oh god, I've got the best joke, but I'm gonna try to keep it clean tonight, more or less. Boot Russian spam, absolutely. Oh yeah, serious. Peter Cushing played the Doctor in the Doctor Who movies that most don't consider canon. Oh, that's interesting. He was a very good Sherlock Holmes. I thought he did a very admirable job. I don't know if the way they did departures with the script were particularly interesting for the Hound of the Baskervilles Hammer version, but he's just got a great quality. I don't know if I can see him as Doctor Who, so I mean maybe that's why. I'm not saying he doesn't have acting range, but that's just that's a tough thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Wrath is a good one. Well, we've got Wraith of God, who's got really, probably is going to have Wrath as an element of the character. Yeah, that's right. See, exactly. Just do it backwards. That's the way you do it. That might even work. I do all sorts of stuff like that with character names. Let's see here. Vain, but doesn't think he has large forehead. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the more I hear Australian accents, the more I think they're very much like Southern accents in terms of certain things. Although Rhode Island accents have some of those things too, dropping consonants. But yeah, so when I'm thinking about this character, the biggest objective for me when I was putting him together was trying to make sure that we, as fans who are and comic book creators who are trying to say something that is not like what's going on in the mainstream, are doing things that I don't want to say that couldn't be done in the mainstream, because the mainstream has done cool stuff before, done great stuff before. Unfortunately, it hasn't done it in a while, but that will sell. I want them to be good, and I want you guys to back them and love them and want to get the word out and encourage your friends to back them, and that whole thing's important. But to do stuff that, for everybody who has looked at comics and said, wow, these are not something I can get into, to look at these things, and for the people who just, like me, miss what comics could be and used to be, see this and go, this is awesome. Like I could get into this. This is cool. Oh, comics are back. And I think that so many creators in Comicsgate right now have accomplished that with their own books. We just need more. I mean, and we need more top tier quality. As Comicsgate goes on, the standard that people are going to need to see in terms of certainly at least in terms of professional finish and the whole total package and how it all comes together is going to go up, and that's only going to make us stronger. And that's one thing that advantage we have over the mainstream, isn't it? We have created something that's a meritocracy. We do not keep people who are skilled out. And that's big. We give people the opportunity to succeed. We don't have all these artificial hurdles that people have to jump over. And I know that's why I'm here. And that's what I loved about it. I said, wow, all I need is a chance. All I need is a chance to make this stuff happen. And you guys have been giving people a chance. Let's see here. Australia's pretty far south. Devil Flyer Christian Momentum says South Pole is further. I saw your other chat there. Thank you, Aldous. I do appreciate it. I remember liking Marvel and DC Comics memories of the way we were exactly. Let's see here. Karen's on patrol. Absolutely. Without a doubt. OC Steve, are you back from vacation? I know you got a big day tomorrow, so congratulations on that. And I know it's going to be a great first day, my friend. CG moving from Oostacold to just did. Yeah, exactly right. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, guys, it isn't like when people talk about horror and werewolves and everything like that being in comics and vampires and horror, by the way, is a very reasonable, or not even reasonable. It is a very smart genre to go into because one, vampires and werewolves are copyright free characters. They're more or less the public domain because they are tied to lore. But there's so much more range that can be done with them that we haven't even scratched the surface of. And when it comes to werewolves and vampires, I look at something like Nosferatu. I look at stuff like Bram Stoker's Dracula and some of the crazy costume design and things that were done for that. And I think, that there's just so much more. Like it's not a simple concept. Superheroes too, for that matter. Superheroes are something that I really think we are due for. We're due for some cool new superheroes. And I wouldn't have believed that, even though I don't know that, anything's 100% original, I wouldn't have believed that, a character like Spawn was possible. He wasn't like other characters at the time when it came out. And, owes a little bit to Doctor Strange, and Steve Ditko-isms, owes a little bit to Tomb of Dracula, and all that beautiful, beautiful work. And I just think, there's these opportunities that we have in this, in this micro industry that we're creating that, to create stuff that frankly, I really want to see. I'm lurking in the back. Oh, there you go. Hang on a second, man. Hold on. Let me see here. John, they're going to try to name a character after you. Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up?
Nothing much, man.
I'm just working.
Getting it done and working on. I was just watching. I don't know if you saw it, but I was just watching Ethan's interview with Clifton earlier tonight. Did you catch that?
I started watching it, but I had to finish the final pre-press stuff. I'm gonna watch it tonight before I go to bed. But
yeah, it was great.
Good.
It was really good. And just, it got me really excited. I really want more people to start looking at doing films and things like that, because I think there's so much, opportunity there. And I know there's a ton of opportunity in comics. And I really want to see us, just kick ass and make this stuff happen. And go ahead, man.
It's just going to take time, man.
Yep.
See where we are now. Imagine where we're going to be.
I could not agree more, man. I could not agree more. I think that, we all keep talking about, and I know it's going to take a lot of work, and I'm grateful for, all of the, the first class of comic skaters who came out there, because I know it's going to take, it's taken a lot to break the static friction.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And get things actually moving. And now that things are moving, though, there's that same amount of force that we're going to have to apply to keep it, not only keep it going at its current rate, but to help to push it forward, and keep moving it. And that's just going to require us to just do a ton of work. That's really what it comes down to, man. And it's great. I love it. And there's a lot of love for Phil here.
Yo, what's
A lot
up,
of love
Dave?
for Phil.
John? It's good to see you guys in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for popping in.
Of course, man. I mean, like, look where we're at now.
Yeah.
I would have never imagined that I'd be able to do the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Putting the products out, putting the books out, and working with people that I'm working with, and even just rubbing elbows with some of these awesome creators, and kind of helping new people come into CG and giving them advice or anything. It's so cool. Like it's ridiculous that we're still getting all this stupid bad press. Like I don't know if you saw the article that CBR put out on Bill Sienkiewicz and Jeff Lemire denouncing CG. It's like, all right, guys, I think you're 5 years too late on that article.
Yeah. Check is in the mail.
Yeah, it's like
that's
the most surprising thing that's happened this week. It's dumb. It's like they don't know what's going on. There's old people yelling at clouds at this point. It's like, like I was telling some of the guys in the back room, it's like these guys probably don't even know half of the creators that are CG now and the books that are coming out. They still just think it's, Ethan, and all their info is still from 2019.
Yeah.
It's like we've grown past all this stuff, guys. You guys should too.
I know, it's a shame. But it's really kind of funny though. I got to this point where I was around people and I would try to explain what things, like what I was seeing, what things were actually like. And you see that there's certain people who pathologically have an inability to look at anything objectively, which is why I've always liked that basic Ayn Rand principle. Existence exists, A equals A. Like, it's just, you have to look at things for as they are. So if people say, well, Comicsgate isn't diverse, it's kind of like, what do you mean? Well, there's not a lot of this group of people in here. Yes, there is. But they can't hear that because in their mind, they need to believe that so desperately. And it is like a kind of, and that's one of the things that Clifton and Ethan were talking about. But for me, I look at this stuff and I go, we're not going to get that audience. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get people who need to hate you as a part of their self-concept.
Right.
But we're starting to win, in my personal opinion, the same people who don't give a damn about any of this stuff. Like, there's really so many people who do not care what one group of people, think about this particular thing or that particular thing. Like, we're having fun. The thing I've been thinking about Comicsgate, yes, we have evolved in some regards. I would say we have. But man, I was watching this stream and I think John and Anna were on the stream, but where Cecil was like mercilessly mocking. It was on Comicsgate is Comics Great, I think, or maybe it was on Jeremy's channel. I can't remember, where he was mercilessly mocking Ethan, but it was their comic timing. Ethan was laughing so hard, Cecil was laughing so hard, and I was dying watching that. And I go, we just got to have enough time on these streams to just let the natural joy of being around each other and making work and being creative and the stress that comes with it. Do you know what I mean?
No, I love that stuff. Like, that channel is so hilarious because it's like,
great.
Oh yeah, I remember when this happened. I was watching it live or whatever. It's just a barrel of laughs, and that's the thing that reminds me so much of like the subcultures that I used to be part of, like video game communities and stuff, where it's all these inside jokes that you had to be there to know, but everybody knows about them that's in the scene,
It's
and
totally true.
it's, you just reminisce. That's why going, having a convention and a meetup is just going to be bonkers when that happens, because it's all
I think You're absolutely right. I think bonkers is the word.
Yeah.
And I think, it's yeah, the weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Hail the shadow, as we say. And yeah, I think that for me, what is funny about it is I was talking to my wife and she was like, how long were you streaming? And this was, a couple of days ago or whatever. Who knows? I can't even remember anymore. And I said for 3 hours, and she was like, wow, when we were talking about it, I said, but what people don't get is we don't have scripts. We're just like, you can't. Right. I get why so many of these people who are completely fake cannot do this, because you can't be a persona. You can't be this cartoon character of how you want the world to see you for this amount of time. And it's so refreshing. Do you know what I mean? Oh yeah. What do you got?
No, the KSS says Phil was into subcultures. Please don't say furry. Please don't say furries.
Well, technically, when I was in costume, I don't know who was at that party. I saw Tom Cruise there.
That's true.
And there was this weird piano music, but it got very Kubrick.
Could have been someone in a Tom Cruise mask, though. Look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh wait, let me make this big here. Let's have it. Oh, beautiful. Is that one of the collected pulps?
Yeah.
Gotta love it, man.
Jumping out of a safe. Got him.
So good. Yeah, exactly. Got him is another great one. My kids say that.
I hope so.
Yeah, they're like, got him. They love it, man. They love it.
Check what I got. What I got at this.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, that's gonna be for all the cards, right?
Yeah. Well, what pushed me over the edge was the Dale Keown cards.
Oh, you don't say, huh?
I had to get those guys. Yeah.
He is really one of those things where you see an artist kind of come on the scene who's just starting out, and I think that Dale has a lot of potential. I have to be honest with you.
Same with Billy.
Same with that. I mean, well, wait till he's a little older. Right now, the teen sensation is pretty much he's riding off of his youth. Give him a minute, and then we'll see where he's at.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, good Lord.
Here's some of his Dale's newest work, and I think he's doing a good job with this stuff.
Yeah, he'll get there one of these days. Oh God, why are you showing me that? Isn't that so depressing, but also inspiring?
It's awesome. It's totally.
There was a time we could have been having to compete with that. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
There was a time when we would have been, I'm going to do an independent, and that's my competition. Now that guy is an independent. How the hell did we luck into that?
Yeah.
For heaven's sake.
That's mad.
It's so, listen, as a furry ambassador, as Arcade, listen, we say different strokes for different folks. We are inclusive here in Comicsgate, regardless of your weebery or furriness, as long as you hate postmodernism, Marxism, and authoritarian control, we're pretty good with you. I know you guys remember this. Do you remember when we had fun in our hobbies? Do you remember when our hobbies were not a state of constant misery?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. And I'll tell you this, when I look at the stuff that we're doing right now, I'm just going to get her on screen for us. But right next to me, the top of the stack of books next to me is the original Pit Trade paperback.
Yeah, how do I
tell you?
I need to get that.
I just got it on eBay. And I'm going to tell you guys.
Beautiful. I've never seen that illustration because I have the single issues. But that must
get this. It's by Full Bleed Studios put it out, and we really need a new one though. We desperately need a remaster version of this. If I will tell you this, if there's got to be someone, and I mean, if I wasn't working on Nosfero right now, I'd be game for it. Who can go through all those files and organize them? You know what I mean? It's like, I would love to get, frankly, from the pre-press aspect of things, I'd love to get Michael Bancroft involved at that stage. But I mean, this is timeless, beautiful work. This is, this character is like the indie Hulk. And I love this character. It's its own thing. It's so good, man. Yeah, look at this. This is one of the end pages right there.
Kyrie or Reiki?
I think so. I mean, but gosh, Do you remember this stuff? I mean, this stuff is gorgeous, man.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's very readable still.
It is.
I say the first like 12 issues, 10 to 12 issues. I think there was only 19 or 20, but
Yep.
and then there was a bunch of spin-off like the Pit Crew and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which
and then
was
there was the
not
Pit
Pit
Darkness, wasn't there at some point?
Oh, that was great. Pit Darkness is awesome. But like
Yeah.
he did Pit Crew was drawn and written by some other people
Yeah.
and kind of like added to the lore. Wasn't that good. But
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I got to be honest with you. The idea of Dale Keown drawing Cyberfrog or Salamandroid and all that kind of stuff, that's great. You know, I'd love to see that stuff.
Yeah.
But there are very few artists that I would ever want to have to follow. And Dale Keown and Todd McFarlane are the kind of people who they're confident following anybody because they're like, I'm me. You know, it's gonna be great. But man, I mean, if it's getting hired to do anything for Cyberfrog, you know, or anything else, you just sort of go, oh my God. You know, like I try to imagine doing a Pit piece. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like Dale kind of nailed that shut. You know, although people do. They do great Pit stuff, you know, so. But it's crazy, man. Yeah. Would you like to have Dale do some stuff for you? Or is that in the cards at some point?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's told me that they want to see him draw Grimstone.
Of course, right? It's a very
Okay.
logical
Grimstone Pit
stuff. He's
face
got a
off.
giant character, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, that would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've shown him. I sent him the Lost Pages too a while ago, so
Oh,
he looked
nice.
through that and he dug it and he liked the Grimstone character. Of course, I was showing him illustrations of that guy, and yeah, I mean that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I agree with Dan Lawless there. I would highlight that chap. I just want to make sure I get these brush lines down. Yeah, seeing those books does make you want to go and either grab your copies or get new copies of them. And
Yeah.
I've been going back as I've worked on Nosfero. I've been discovering a few new books like the Hammer Horror comic magazines that they put out that are just beautiful.
Mhm.
And I've also been going back into these, you know, the archives, so to speak, of all of my comics on the wall over there and taking them down and kind of getting myself, you know, back in the, you know, the vibe of the stuff I love, surrounding myself with the stuff I love. And, you know, you and I are both surrounded by stuff like that, you know, and it's so important. And I've got some, by the way, I have to say this. Oh, I got to get to this one too, as well here. I'm talking to Steranko to draw my new comic. It's about Phil. It's called The Lost Sock. This is the sum of all great ideas right here. This is the sum of all great ideas.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
was a little excited for a second, and then I realized it was not true at all.
I know. Isn't that rough when that happens?
Yeah.
I mean, although I have to tell you, we all have to work and develop to get into the best kind of place that we can get into. But the simple fact of the matter is the quality of back and forth between Cecil and Ethan in some of those streams, and particularly the Cecil, Ethan, Anna, and John streams when John goes, I just put it into an age calculator machine to show you what this would look like. I just was crying, man. But if you guys want to see something too, that is what this is about, man, it's like, oh yeah, absolutely awesome.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be absolutely ridiculous. And I want to see this stuff. Yeah, suck hard too. Suck hard. That's exactly right, man. Listen, so I got something this weekend that is because I love collecting action figures and things like that. So this one's for you, Patrick Thomas Parnell, and all you other people. That is something I have wanted a 3-dimensional interpretation of that I'm actually got on my desk for reference. So I'm going to move this into frame and break our typical subject matter.
Let's see it.
I just got the Kessler Wolf figure from NECA from American Werewolf.
Yeah. Holy
And
shit.
you want to talk about something that is, I got to get some light on it. That's absolutely great for reference.
I'm sure. Look
This
at
right
that thing.
here is absolutely diabolical. It's
God
just crazy. And it comes with an interchangeable head where the mouth is shut. So I can actually take this and rotate this around.
Nice.
in any angle when I need reference. And obviously mine's a little different, but between the Howling figure I've got over there, a statue thing I've got over there that I can rotate that's small and easy to get to.
Yeah.
It's a great mix. And NECA just came out with this stuff, and they're coming out with reference quality stuff. Between them and Mezco, which is where I got my people were talking about what influences I have earlier and talking about them. This is another great reference piece I have, which is when someone makes a film in 1922 that's silent and it's stills. Hopefully my child's alive. I don't know if you heard that bang upstairs. Hopefully everyone's still alive. But when you see that kind of stuff and you go, this thing came out in 1922. Boris Karloff shambled onto the screen as Frankenstein, back in the 30s, and it's still dropping merch. And that was like, we can come up with, and that was his interpretation of Frankenstein based a little bit on the Edison Company's version. But we can absolutely do things. And John Malin's doing it with his horror stuff, and Mark Poulton, with Graveyard Shift. Those guys are doing some great stuff, and Viking Wolf for that matter. But we've got, so much stuff we can be doing. We can really take this stuff. I mean, you're taking the idea of imaginary friends.
Yeah.
These are primal. Do you know what I'm saying? These are primal things. All right, OC Steve, have a great night's sleep and have a great day. First day on the new job, my friend. Much love and have a good one. And I'm glad you got a little bit of a fun vacation. We'll have to catch up and talk Monterey soon. Yeah, hail, brother. Take care. Yeah, and KSSS, you're right. 1922 Nosferatu is a masterpiece. The Germans did the best silent films, and the makeup in that still holds up today. It's shocking how solid that is.
Oh, yeah.
Really great stuff.
I like Phantom of the Opera. That makeup,
oh my
crazy.
God, yeah.
Shocking. The reveal is so good. Really good.
It's great. Arby's may have the best meats, but CG has the artist. You're absolutely right. There's no getting around it. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Yeah, OC Steve's gonna have we're gonna wish him the best first day on the new job tomorrow.
Right.
But that's the kind of thing to me where I look at werewolves and I still Tim Vigil, I know we've talked about him. He did the werewolves I was most inspired by as a kid. He did
the ones that were banging all those chicks, right?
Yeah, always the vampires. Yeah, he was into werewolf on vampire love. As I don't know if we'd use that word per se, but I always it was passion perhaps. But he just he kind of got the howling American werewolf thing down into drawings and comics, which I thought was so cool, and I want to be able to try to bring that to this. I want people to see this stuff and go, because what werewolves often look like in comics. And you're right. Lon Chaney Sr. was a man of 1,000 faces, the best, absolutely. But when you see something like Creature from the Black Lagoon, that kind of thing is not easy to do or replicate in comics. It can be done, but as much as I like, Abe Sapien and the idea of characters like that, which are great, the design for Creature from the Black Lagoon has rarely has anyone come close to matching it. I think the Creature in the Shape of Water was great. I really do. I mean, yeah. Mike Hill did a great job on that, but without Millicent Patrick's design, and even he would say that, you can't get there. And I'm waiting for our next, I want to see things like that come out of Comicsgate.
Yeah, man. Oh, for sure.
I'm off camera. Jeez.
I loved Shape of Water. I thought that movie was excellent.
Yeah, I think it's really it was a really beautifully shot. I love his cinematographer on that. I think he did a great job. But I also how do I word it? I love his stuff, and his creature designs are great. But sometimes I really miss sometimes the more I don't want to say lowbrow, but monobrow perhaps experience. Mm-hmm. And I love the kind of Hammer pulp. Like, I love just having a good time. Like, the Universal movies were artistic and they were creative. Oh my God. I'll let you answer this one. If you have an answer for it, let me know. Let me see. I had a German cinema reference to the Nosfero vid. Oh, very cool. Yeah, it did. let me see here. Where is it? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, yes. Yeah, I had to do a Seraph in the Nosfero. Yeah, and you were awesome in that, by the way. That was a brilliant video, and thank you for that, Ogan the Bogan / the Dying Days of YouTube. What do you guys think of Gene Colan's Tomb of Dracula? What do you have thoughts on that?
That's where Blade first appeared, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's iconic and totally. I mean, when I think of that Blade, it's totally 70s. Reminds me of that stuff. Really, really cool. And that's classic, like Marvel horror, right? That's when horror books were still really popular.
It makes me think of, it's interesting. It makes me think of Malin's stuff a lot because Malin's doing the more superhero, and Polton stuff as well. Like, actually, it's interesting. Because Mark Polton and the artists he's collaborating with on Graveyard Shift have to have that kind of dynamic in some senses. And I think that for me, what was a really telling moment that I had never realized was that the biggest influence on Todd McFarlane's artwork and Spawn was the work of Gene Colan in Tomb of Dracula. He said if he was put on a deserted island and he could only have one comic, he goes, I would have the entire run of Tomb of Dracula. And they said, you can't do that, Todd. It's one book. He goes, the omnibus. That was his response. And I laughed and I went, how did I not know this was? And I think he mentioned him all the time. But the capes on Dracula, Total Spawn, the panel layouts by Gene Colan, those crazy kind of panel layouts, that was straight what Todd was doing. Yeah. No idea. For the longest time, I only saw obviously the Arthur Adams influence and Steve Ditko influence, but I never put that together because I missed that era. Yeah, Fritz Lang made Metropolis, and if you haven't seen it, I own 4 versions of that movie. Each time there's a new one, and M I know very well with Peter Lorre. So great and terrifying. Let's see, Dying Days, YouTube boy choirs can have some of the most haunting sounds. Listen to Glory. Oh my gosh, I was watching Glory just the other day. 2 days ago, I was watching the end sequence when they breach the wall, and that's a rough one. It's a beautiful movie. Gary Oldman is my favorite Dracula. Leslie Nielsen is a close second. Yes, Dracula, dead and loving it. Yeah, I love that book. Yeah, you got to love it. It's Tomb of Dracula is awesome. Let's see. I used a simple of it. It's Roach Ball's teaser for Horror Effect. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that stuff is great. And I loved I love that particular sequence you showed with the skeletons coming out from that flick. It's great. It's absolutely great. So Phil, like what part of the process are you in right now with the various projects you've got?
So I'm done with the Lost Pages.
Whoa.
Like literally before this, I was editing the letters. I got notes back this week from my editor. And then I formatted everything, I guess you'd call it pre-press, for print. Make everything, was it 6.7 by 10.2 dimension-wise on the page for an American comic. And made them all TIFFs and just uploaded the PDF to the printer. So that's a wrap for that, unless I find something else. But they are working on a quote for the cover because we reached 30K. So thank you guys.
Congratulations.
Everybody's getting the gold foil covers. So we had to do a custom quote order. So they're working on that this week. I'll probably hear from them. And then if everything is good, we'll be sending in for the final print file or books, I guess, right?
Yeah,
exciting.
It's exciting, and I do have to ask you this question because I was thinking about this, and I have an answer on my end of this. So, I can give you, some time on that. But do you ever find yourself daydreaming about your ideal Comicsgate collection? Like of books that haven't been made yet, or books that you're not only just books you're like, oh, I can't wait to get that in my collection, but thinking of, I'd love to see someone do this kind of book. Do you ever find yourself doing that?
It's usually stuff that I want to work on. It's like, oh, I want to do this, or I can't wait till we could put this out, but I got to do this and this first. There's Kenneth Roquefort's been doing these I mean, always he does these like daily sketches, right? And he always posts them. But he's been drawing these characters, and there was one that jumped out at me, and he looks like this kind of like intergalactic badass Judge Dredd type character. I'm like, oh man, I want to write that guy. You know, like
Yeah.
who's that guy? And I messaged him. I'm like, dude, if you ever do anything with this guy, I want to work on it. He's like, yeah. And then I was talking. Shelby was streaming too, and he was in his chat, and I'm like, dude, I can't stop thinking about that character. And I guess those are characters for a book he's going to do in the future.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. But it's just like everything is just so inspiring that I see people putting out there. I mean, I would love to have a Pit omnibus, you know. I think that's something that everybody's looking forward to. But getting to a point where creators have bigger collections of the new CG books, you know, like when you get you get to a point where there's a Graveyard Shift omnibus, or you know, a Lost Pages omnibus, where it's like, oh, this is, you know, something that show the accomplishment of this is years of work that was solely created in Comicsgate. I think that's something
that's the dream.
Look forward to.
Yeah, that's the dream. And for me, I got that kind of thrill when I saw Tiger Blue, because I want to see books that are, and I'm not trying to in any way, so I say this as a compliment, that are just going to, like, you know, hit kids who are teenagers and up like a ton of bricks, and they're going to be like, this is cool, I got to have this. Yeah. And the thing that was kind of the potential of Image Comics that was really hard to watch slip away when I was a kid, you know, people just not getting books out, and you know what I mean? I'm not saying this as, you know, a put down or anything like that. You know, it was great stuff. But when I think about, you know, Sam Keith's, you know, the Max, I think about Dale Keown's Pit, obviously. I think about Youngblood. I think about, you know, Todd McFarlane's books. I mean, I'm thinking of like a bunch of other different books. I was talking with, I forget who I was talking to. It might have been, was it Dan Wallace? Who was it? I was talking to about, actually, I think it might have been Jay Lee. I was talking about, who owns some Chap Yep work from the Image Days, where Rob Liefeld. And I want to see a huge range of books. You know, like I just think about this library of Comicsgate books, to where we lay down we throw down the gauntlet, basically, of this is what's possible in comics. I think about it all the time. And that's sort of what I see when I'm doing this work. I'm thinking of my work, even though I'm not looking at anything directly like, oh, it's like this book. I go, no, I know where it fits into the library. Does that make sense? Like, I want to create something that has a place on your Comicsgate shelf. And that's the fun. Yeah. Okay, take care. 9 days of YouTube, and best of luck to the family. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this past Friday, Brandon and I on the Diaz Brothers show, the show was based around CG icons, and you know, what characters do you think of when you hear Comicsgate? And the list was like 50 different characters, you know, because we were just pulling them from the chat. You know, we had a good amount of people in the chat, and I was just listing them off. And it's so cool to see the range of characters and how many, you know, people that are invested in these characters. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. I love the... I get really excited, and it's the same thing about there's a lot of people in, and I don't know as much about it as someone like, you know, Patrick Thomas Parnell does, but there's a lot of people in the indie toy market who are doing things like making Kenner style, you know, 80s action figures, because it's so much more affordable to pull a mold of something like that. Like, it's actually possible for people to do. And if you had told me I would be able to do, you know, gouache painted books and reproduce them for anywhere near reasonable, I wouldn't have believed it. And so, for me, I guess I've just been thinking a lot about Comicsgate, and obviously, right, it's kind of a big thing right now for me. It's the center preoccupation of my life
Yeah.
right now. But I sit there and go, I want someone to go, picture someone who doesn't know what Comicsgate is and has a lot of ideas about what Comicsgate is. And I want to say to them, okay, I want you to picture what you think Comicsgate is. Is this it? Do you know what I mean? And have their mind go blank and go, what the hell is that? This is Comicsgate.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is Comicsgate right here.
Yeah, and it's crazy how eclectic Comicsgate is.
It's awesome.
Like this is nothing like the stuff that I'm doing or anyone else is doing. And you could say that about 20 different things in CG right now, which is great.
Is this Comicsgate to you? Well, is this what you were thinking it is? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, right. Where we can throw it down and we can say like, are these two characters that you're seeing here, like, are they what you had in mind? Because I'm betting you didn't, but then you don't need to have them in your mind, because that's the whole perk of paying people for their to experience vicariously their mastery of creating imaginative works of fiction. That's what people pay us for. When I go to the dentist, when I call my electrician, when I call my plumber, it's like, I'm depending on them for some level of expertise and some level of care, and when they're taking care of things. And when I order books from my fellow comic skaters, that's what I love about it. Like, I love the investment you put into it. You could have not cared about those cards. I keep thinking about that. But instead, you turned it into something better. You made it something that was an experience for people who may have missed out on the early sign-up, man.
Yeah.
And want those cards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy. And I have to say, I totally agree with, I'm glad that Pitt's not owned by Marvel. Yeah. I do have to say, I also got bummed out when the creators stopped drawing their own books. I would have bought Spawn forever. This is no knock on the other artists. They could have done their own titles, but I would have loved to have had a run of Todd McFarlane on Spawn longer than 15 issues. I just would have loved to have had, because he really was more or less getting help on that book after issue 15, and he was starting to slack on it, with all due respect. I mean, he did his bit for King and Country, so and he certainly did his bit for me. But I look at this stuff. That's what you get when corporate committees are cut out of the picture. You get creativity and a range of ideas. Yeah, here's the crazy thing. I used to look at Image Comics, guys. I used to look at Image Comics, and I used to look at actually mainly Image Comics. Once Image was founded, that's where I was looking, and I would think, how cool would it be to work on or do an offshoot of one of these ideas and work with these creators? That is such a cool idea. Mm-hmm. And then I started realizing that Comicsgate is finally, to me, well, it was at that point pretty soon, but it was hard to see past Ethan doing Cyberfrog, all these people doing these different books. And we didn't have as many writers in the beginning who were coming out and creating like a huge body of work. Like your take on the Lost Pages is one of my favorite concepts in Comicsgate, man. It's one of my absolute favorite. I think it's so smart. It really is.
Thanks.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's an anthology. I'm introducing you to all these characters. Then they're going to get their own book. It's the best way to start, in my opinion. It's a very strong universe you set up in one issue.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do that, so
no
we had
pressure.
to figure out a way. Yeah, that was the thing where it's like, okay, this is what we have. How do we do that? How do we, not take 3 years to introduce these characters? We could get in there, land running with these guys, and then do it like that. So, and now we're seeing a lot more people take another jab at doing these kind of anthologies in CG.
Yeah.
And it's it's super fun because now there's so many hungry creators that could help with something like that. So,
and that's the biggest thing too, which is it creates more room for people to get inspired artistically. I mean, the painting I did of a Masquerade, and there's a bunch of other characters that you've got in your world that you're building that I'm actually think about. I'm like, oh, I'd like to illustrate that character when I get a
Yeah.
second. Do you know what I mean? And that's great. Like
It's crazy. I've heard that a
it's
lot.
so
And
fun.
it's like that's ridiculous because they're just dumb characters. My brother and I came up with in the backseat of our parents' car one day. You know?
Well, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster did a similar thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they were kids,
Hmm.
you know, for all intents and purposes back in the day when they were coming up with that stuff. And that's how comics has always worked. You know, I mean, it's like there's a full range. There's people who come up with stuff, and you clearly are evolving these ideas with your sensibilities of what you have now. I mean, your chops are so much stronger than, you know, obviously they could be when
Yeah.
you're young.
They have to evolve. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But it's like I think there's people like C.S. Lewis who create things later on in their careers that become huge, which is incredibly rare. And there's
Mhm.
people like, you know, Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, who split the difference. One was older, one was younger, right? And we've got the best range of people in Comicsgate, so it's going to be awesome. There are a
Yeah.
bunch of creators I'd live to work with. Patrick Thomas Parnell being the first so far with Ultra Girl poster and the Johnny Phantasm figure box art. Yeah, that stuff is great. Let's see here. Yeah, that's what you get when you get minis out of it. We did that one, and then where is it? And I'm very happy with how much Patrick Thomas Parnell loves it. Yes. Yeah, those works when you see the kind of artwork that you guys are doing and how you're being inspired by these characters. I actually want to do of his characters. I want to do a Johnny Phantasm piece. I just think that's like right, you know,
Yeah.
right where I live. And but it's so funny. Like, how great is that to be living in a place where we're excited to illustrate each other's characters or write stories for each other? It's awesome, man.
It's so cool, and it's like when I see Nosfero, I'm like, oh man, I want to do a story with Masquerade and Nosfero, or like even Tiger
It'll
Blue.
happen.
You know, like and like Tiger Blue too. You know,
Tiger Blue
where
totally.
Matt's actually approached me to write something in the universe that he's doing as a follow up to the story, and you know, after watching that trailer, I'm like, oh, dude, fucking Tiger Blues in Chicago in the 30s, like that's perfect for a crossover with the Masquerade because it's the same era and place, you know. So I'm like,
The Dr. Moreau element is also very cool.
yeah, for sure, and it just adds a whole new life to that world. So, but yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, I would love to, you know, write that character, do a crossover or something like that, because it's so creative. Even like guys like Kimosabi have like stuff that we've talked about doing things like that. So I mean, the future is anything can happen. It's very bright right now.
Can you read that chat for me while I do this brush line? Because I love it. I read it, but I
Yeah, Jay Lee says listening. There is one major thing that Comicsgate is missing, and that is advertising. Look at your book. Have you even thought of advertising in, say, Scream magazine or horror magazines?
I have now, and I have to tell you, one of the things I did that I want to get after more, Jaylee, and thank you for popping in here. I was just talking about you and Chap Yep's art, which I thought is fantastic, you know, and I'm so excited to hear that you have that. But yeah, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about tagging more effectively in Twitter, hashtagging my stuff, because it's there's a Hammer Horror official site, and I posted on there. I said, oh, I did a piece based on this movie recently, and people were like, oh, and checking it out. It's a little bit more like what Instagram used to be, where people can actually find your hashtags before, you know, Instagram basically ghosted almost everything. You know, it's like it got ridiculous. But yeah, I do think that if we're going to grow that audience, I was just talking with a guy today who has been checking out my work, he's an amazing collector. He collects all these high-end horror collectibles. I mean, these guys spend like, gosh, they spend like $5,000 and $6,000 on these life-sized like figures and statues. And you know, when you get into meeting people from other hobbies, people are funny that way. We get interested in each other's stuff. And he was like, oh, I was checking out your artwork. I wish I had that ability. I'm like, dude, I wish I could customize things like you could. But it's just, you know, there's so many people out there to talk to, like who, you know, whether they like Warhammer, like Gabe and I were talking about that the other night, or kaiju movies and Godzilla films, right? We all have our things that we're we're interested in. And I think you're right. I think getting out to something that might be really worth doing for something like Nosfero is going to Monsterpalooza or one of those cons. You know what I mean? Where they do the horror
for sure.
conventions. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen Monsterpalooza?
No, I know conventions like that, you know.
It's the tested guys always go to it, but they have some of the biggest special effects and mask and makeup people in the industry there. And it's so crazy. Like they have people who are doing professional makeup demos. The guy who does all the superhero suits for the Marvel and DC movies is there. He has a booth there to advertise his work. And you just go, these people, like collectibles, sideshows there with the Court of the Dead stuff. And I just think, I really want to make sure I'm getting out to more places because it's, much like our campaigns, right? It's inch by inch, yard by yard, trying to, get, the word out there more and more. But that's a great thought, Jay. I appreciate that.
I mean, I don't know if my stuff would sell though. Who knows?
Well, I think in your case, I think the pulp group that you're in is great. In fact, I should probably get on there more.
Yeah, I made posts about your book on there.
Yeah, I know you did, dude. I appreciate it so much, but I want to get in there because I also am thinking I want to show some of the artwork, the pulp artwork I'm doing for your stuff, man. I got to get you some higher res images of this stuff. Funny enough, I have Godzilla 2000 on in the background. Oh, well, it's not funny at all in our crowd, right? We love these things. I really want to talk Shin Godzilla with Shane at some point because I love that movie too, and I know he's into it. Jay Lee, I got sales totals for my books, and book 1 passed 16K, and book 2 is almost at 10K. Congratulations, Jay Lee. That's awesome, man. Great job. Yeah, Jay Lee is doing some amazing fiction stuff. If you could, Jay, could you drop the names of the titles? I know you probably have when Phil was here before, but I think it's really important, to keep repeating that stuff so the people in my audience and also Phil can get to it. Phil hires Sean to paint a treasury-sized book starring the Masquerade. Yeah, if I do something with Phil, I'd love to do it 8.5 by 11, and do something that's larger, And those Rocketeer Treasury editions are beautiful, man.
And Stephen Rockwood, love your profile picture there, brother.
Oh, it's great, man. He's a great artist too. He does some really cool stuff. Let's see here. Jay Lee, horror cons. Yeah, I got sales for this. Jordan says it'd be cool to see a clay sculpt of one of Sean's designs. Yeah, I'm thinking of talking to it's Eric Huffles, right? Who does the figures. I've got to reach out to him because I feel like it could be really cool to do some like smaller miniature style figurines of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, at some point I would love to get a maquette of some of these things done. It might save me some figuring out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would love to see freaking Nosfero riding the
dog, Phantomas,
holding the book out. I love that pose. You see the ring, he's got the book.
Isn't that like strange how so many of us are into, books, mystical books. I don't know. Do we blame Neverending Story for that? I don't know what the impact was.
Maybe.
Or Evil Dead. You know what I mean? It's like, but that's the stuff that got me. Yeah, Marv is the best. Frank Miller for life. There you go.
Oh yeah, Marv. Yeah. So good.
Oh yes, you can look on Amazon. Type in James D. Lee, The Steins. There are 2 books, both in Kindle, hardback and paperback, and book 1 is also an audiobook. So there you go. An audiobook will be what my purchase is.
I remember seeing him talking about the Steins on a stream once.
Yeah. And I'm going to leave that up there for a bit too, because I would like everybody to go and check that stuff out, because Jay has been so great in the chat. He always brings a lot of really thought-provoking ideas and discussions. He's shared with me, his family history and his photos and his ties to this country. And it's always cool to meet all the different people we meet in Comicsgate. And I really, the thing that I was so, and just if I may go off on this thing, the thing that was heartbreaking for me when fandom came under attack from social justice warriors and from all of these really vicious people who wanted to tear it apart, is they accused my people, my fans, my fellow fans who'd always been so nice and supportive to me
Yeah.
of being these oh shit. Hey Rob, hey Michael, it's good to see you guys. I'm glad you guys are killing me, man. Now I'm gonna totally crack up. So, but I always sort of felt like when I went into the comic shop or when I went to conventions, I would come over to a booth and I'd be like nervous talking to people. Oh yeah, absolutely. If you guys send me a link, I'll pop over there for a bit. So yeah, feel free to. This is the
This
thing
is what
about it.
happened. Michael and Rob don't have any material, so they just move up other people's streams.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, if you and you've got the Waffle Lodge thing happening. If you guys want me to pop on there, you're gonna have to send Phil an invite as well because
Yeah.
I have to come on there with Phil. Otherwise, I can't do it.
Rob just wants to gatekeep me.
He doesn't want to gatekeep you. I feel like there's this tension between you guys. I
Yeah,
can
it's
feel
super-
it down in my plums.
It's super gay.
But I have to say this, Jay, is that when I see the way that you guys are, oh, good night, Jordan. Good night, my friend. Is that when I went into those comic shops, when I went into those collectibles things, I'd be standing at somebody's booth, and I would be, at a convention, and I was nervous. I was like this young. I was going to these things when I was 11 and 12 with my friend, and everybody behind the booths were always like going, "Cool. Well, what are you interested in?" And I'd be like, "Well, do you have the Dark Horse Miniatures, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?" And they were like, "Hold on a second. Wait here, man. I'm going to go and look and see if we got any with us." People would always go and look for stuff you wanted. Like they would really take time out of their experience at the conventions to see if they had it or point you in the direction of a booth that might have that thing you're looking for. How's it lighting up in here? The street people are just like, yeah. But that was the coolest. No, Waffle Lodge is not necessarily closing. It's okay. Yeah, that's right. I didn't say we're going to pop exactly off. You've sent our chat into total confusion. But I do like this. I love having two restaurants open at this hour. But
So
this is go ahead.
Check this out. I
Oh,
pulled this out
wait, I
from
gotta make it
King
big on
Rockwood.
screen. Hang on. Oh my. Great googly moogly.
And I had to get the movie version, Mickey Rourke, one of my favorites. And
That
this
was a great
bass,
performance.
man, look at this bass, Sin City bass.
Yeah. It's a shame what happened to Elijah, but things happen.
He had to go.
He had to go. Yeah. He never stopped smiling.
Yeah, this was a Christmas
Can you
gift.
get in a little closer on the face and let the camera focus on it? Because I just want to get a better look. Sorry, man.
Look at that.
That is beautiful, man. That was a great movie.
So good.
I mean, really just outstanding, And that's the thing, I look at that stuff and I think that, when it comes to doing this work and figuring out, what we're going to do with it, I want us to come up with, cool stuff that inspires it. I mean, have you seen all the amazing, obviously you have, all the amazing Cyberfrog stuff, all of the stuff that our fan community who sculpts and does 3D work does. Oh my God, that's beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
That is really solid. Who did that?
This is Hollywood Collectibles. They only do like movie collectibles.
It's dark. I don't want to think of him holding Hank Hill's head. That's a little rough, man. That's a little bit rough.
Yeah, but we got some bomb sculptors in CG,
Yeah, we do. We got some serious, amazing talent here. So here's what we're gonna do, guys. Here's what we're gonna do. Phil, let's do this.
Mhm.
I'm gonna wrap this stream up, but we have a link in the Waffle Lodge room to hop on over to Bancroft's channel. So let's go over there. We're tailgating. Let's move the party over to that stream, and we are going to meet you guys over there. So head on over to Bancroft's. I'm going to play some closing thoughts, and Phil's going to Phil, I don't even know how you're going to mail that thing to me, but I appreciate the thought and the gift. You guys are awesome. Whack-ass, it's good to see you, man. We're going to head over to Bancroft's. We'll see you guys in a sec. I'm going to play the outro, and we're going to go over there for a bit and say hello, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Hit like if you haven't, subscribe if you haven't, and thank you to Phil, and we will see you guys over there. We're going to close it out, and I will see you guys over there in just a second. All right, guys? And I'll talk to you in a sec, Phil, after this. I'll hang on there for a second. All right.
See ya.
All right, guys. So let's see. How do we close out best? Oh yeah, we'll close out with this.
Here's a little something for you busters. Yeah.
Not even learning anything on the street.
Yeah.
You think I'm stupid, son?
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say to you, boy?
Yeah.
Do you?
What's up with that?
Look at me, damn it!
Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. What's up with
You
that?
smoke crack, don't you?
Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack.
Look at me, boy!
Hey to
You
you,
smoke crack, don't you?
don't even smoke crack.
You know what that does to you? Huh? You smoke crack, don't you?
Smoke crack.
I apologize. I forgot you were there. You may go now.